Live, the voice of the UK.
Nikki Campbell.
Listen live, pause, rewind and discover with the BBC Sounds app.
It's 5 minutes past 10. You're listening live to the Voice of the Nation, BBC 5 Live. Nikki Campbell's off at least today and tomorrow. I think he might be back tomorrow. I was on yesterday and today. As we move on to our second topic of conversation, I need your help with this, because if you all don't call in, because it's a bit of a flyer we're taking here, the production team after the show will be like, we told you so. You know, I'm asking, this is like a call to arms I've given you right now. 08085 909 693. It's a little left field. But let me give it a big Alan Partridge intro. Number Johnny 5, Metal Mickey, Hal, K9, C3PO. What have they all got in common? They're not real. But what if robots were real? 08085 909 693. For the next hour, everything you could possibly want to know about artificial intelligence. We got a crack team of humans are going to answer those questions, and it's off the back of this story. It's really pricked everyone's imagination, because a Google engineer says one of its AI systems might have its own feelings. I don't believe he's currently going into the Google office after saying that. It's this Lambda system, the language model for dialogue applications. And he said he had a conversation with the engineer in which it said that it had a deep fear of being turned off. Which is, to be fair, I have that fear myself. Google says no way. There's no evidence the Lambda system has sentience. You're going to hear that word a lot. And for anyone that doesn't know, I did the old check on it this morning. Sentience just means the ability for a computer to live in the real world. In other words, understand what it is, what it can do, to self-determine what it can do, to have a sense of one's being and its life, all of those things. So if you, like me, just really get annoyed when you get an update on your phone, which I do, like I get livid every time they try and advance my technology because I have to learn it all again, then you might need to know a little bit more about it. But I want to throw something else in there for a bit of fun. I really want you to get involved in this, because we're allowed to have a bit of fun as well, right? What's the one thing that you think, no matter how much technology advanced and how far computers advanced, even if they became sentient, it could never do something that a human can do, either with you, to you, or that you do for yourself, that it could, or an emotion that a computer could never experience? For example, do you think we could ever build a computer, football fans, that would understand that split second in a crowd of 50,000 people where the ball hits the back of the net, and if you pause, you hear silence for a split second, and it's the most euphoric silence in the world? I don't think we could build that computer. So we'll do the intelligent stuff, but we'll also have some fun with it. So let's give you all the details and let's get involved.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Call free 08085 909 693. Text 85058. Texts will be charged at your standard message rate. Message on WhatsApp 08085 909 693. Visit bbc.co.uk/5live terms for our terms of use.
Now, obviously, you and I having this discussion, by and large, will be a little uninformed, because one of those things you need to really study. So please welcome to the show Professor Maria Rosaria Tadeo, who is Oxford Internet Institute at the University of Oxford and the Alan Turing Institute. Highly qualified Professor Maria Rosaria Tadeo, welcome to the programme.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Can I ask you a question? Your mates call you Saria?
Sure.
Excellent. Let's welcome also Dr. Mario Gongora, who's from the Institute of Artificial Intelligence at De Montfort University. Mario, welcome to the programme.
Many thanks, Colin. Thank you very much.
And let's get cracking straight in with people who are reading in and texting in. Stu is in Dereham. How are you doing, Stu, today?
Good morning, Colin. Strange to hear you in the morning.
Right, it's strange for me to be up in the morning, if I'm being honest with you, Stu. I'll be back at night time. I'm actually doing tomorrow afternoon for Niga and the day after for Adrian, but I can't miss more than 2 of my weeknight show, because you know we're a proper family there, right?
I know. I was going to say, have you just stayed up all night or got up early?
I'm just on a 24/7 party man. I am when I get day shifts, mate.
I thought so. You sound it.
It's weird seeing the sunshine, I have to be honest. Right, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm a willow weaver, a basket maker, amongst other things, and I know that willow weaving can't be replicated by a machine. Maybe this is a bit more of a mechanical question. And like I was saying to your researcher, when you're weaving, you're holding each willow rod and you're feeling it, and each one's a bit different, and you're using your prior knowledge and experience. And there's a lot of information being processed, which I guess could be done by a computer.
I think you actually get to the heart of AI, though. The idea that it could feel a nuance, that it could understand the emotion of what you do. Because actually, when you buy something like that, Saria, you're not buying perfection, are you?
No, you're buying a human artifact, and you also buy it because of that. But the point of AI is, the point of the discussion we're having today is that we face a machine which is very good at imitating what we're doing, or what we do. But the mistake is in thinking that this imitation at some point becomes the real behavior, becomes the real thing.
Yeah.
And that's the key difference we have to keep in mind.
Absolutely. I think Stu's just having a bit of fun. Mario, should Stu retrain for another job now? Get ahead of the race. He get five years. He could be a rocket scientist and get out of this weaving business before AI eats it up.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, as he said, this is a combination of mechanical and AI. And actually, one of the important things of robotics is that they say that AI is only truly intelligent if it can do something mechanically or real. So that's why robots are sort of connected in a way. But just like Maria said, it's the same. It's very similar to what you were saying. The AI can do or can imitate behaviors. It can make mistakes, so it can look like the real thing.
Deliberately.
So it depends on how you want to do it. So if you want to compromise it, you can be happy with that, and then assume that is very similar to the things we're doing.
Well, Stu, I will make a pledge to you now, on behalf of everybody at BBC 5 Live. We will never buy a machine weaved basket, if that helps you in any way.
Well, at the moment, Colin, you can't. But, I mean, looking ahead to the future, that's an excellent pledge to make.
I'm making it, and I'm a man of my pledges. Thank you, Stu. You have a good day. It sounds like a way more relaxing job than mine, so enjoy it today. I think it's very important we just stop. We'll have a bit of fun along here, but I really want to get to the meat of this story, because there is sometimes a misconception that we have these human thinking computers, and the one, Saria, that gets mentioned a lot is Deep Blue, the computer that took on Garry Kasparov, and finally a computer was able to beat the Grandmaster of chess, but it was programmed and reprogrammed in real time by humans. That it wasn't even close to being a form of sentient AI, correct?
Yes, not at all. Quite far from it. It was a different chess play, that, because it was Kasparov versus not a computer but the programmer of that computer at the time. So indeed he lost, but he lost to the intelligence of the programmers of the computer at the time, and to the capacity of the computer to elaborate a lot of information very quickly.
Yeah, it was like the Wizard of Oz, wasn't it? And behind that curtain was just a whole load of grandmasters who had programmed for ages this system to try and beat Garry Kasparov.
It was really an unfair match if you think about it in this way. Yes.
So let's talk about where we are, because this is headline grabbing, isn't it? This engineer who said, "Listen, there's a sentient AI that exists within Google." So obvious question for Mario first, but also to Saria. Who's likely to be right here, based on all of your scientific knowledge and decades of research? Mario, where are we really when it comes to our move towards any form of sentient AI?
Well, yes, that's a very interesting and complicated issue, because the sentient part of it has to do more what we accept that the messages or the processing, if we can call that thinking, is being felt by the computer, and that's in a way is impossible to prove or disprove. But if we go with more evidence principles, what we can say is that the replies that the machine is giving are replies that have been programmed by the learning that it had to be done, and basically this machine has the whole Google data, i.e. a lot of data from the world to get sentences from. So it's very easy for a machine, without absolutely thinking or feeling or doing anything other than just processing that have been used in movies, in books, in discussions, in many places. So therefore, if we go with evidence, we are really, really far away from sentient machines, even if they are very good at imitating what, a language that sounds sentient or has feelings.
Right, and listen, you lean into the serious part of it here, because I'm going to make you take part in the nonsensical part of it, Mario and Saria. So this is the bit where we're serious about it. So that's actually the line, isn't it? That, Saria, we sometimes mistake what is just human programmed advanced AI as some form of pseudo-human response. Actually, it's just programming. So don't say the name of it, because you'll set off everyone's machines, but we know what we're talking about, right? And that is just Googling it, which is why if you ask it a more difficult question, it won't give you the right answer. My Scrabble app on my phone, which gets played every single day, I'm not embarrassed to say, is similar to Deep Blue was back in the day, in that it's a program. It's got a dictionary in it, and it finds words based on the levels I set. So that's where we are right now with commercial AI, right?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, this is the kind of idea that we have. We're refining AI over and over, and this the case of Lambda here that we're discussing is a more refined case. But basically, that's what it is. It is a machine that is able to pick up the right information out there and to give it back to you in the form of an answer or in form of a service. Think about Siri or Gordana in your mobile phones. It is, I think the key point to stress here is the imitating point that Mario was also stressing. To trivialize it, I'm sure all of us have had a classmate when we went to school who was really good at repeating whatever lesson we had to learn and to get the highest mark, but not understanding one thing of it. We all hated that guy or that girl.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what we face when we look about AI. It's something which is really good at imitating us. It has no clue about what it's talking about. And yeah, that's a key part. Perhaps we should also think about the kind of question that he was asked and the Google engineer reported, because these are very easy questions to cheat about, right? There is no right or wrong answer. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially if you're asking the questions of emotion. The phone number's 08085 909 693. 08085 909 693. This is a great opportunity to have any question about AI answered. If anything baffles you as to how something works, then we have the perfect people to tell you that. And if you want to ask a more detailed question, because this is your profession, then that's why we're the voice of the nation. We cover everything. 08085 909 693. So start with Saria and then on to Mario. Where are we with where we are in the race towards the next level, which would be an AI system that is aware of oneself? Or do you have to, is this done a little bit cloak and dagger behind closed doors? Is it hard to know where we are?
So this is a kind of a very important question in philosophy, the area where I work. And I can tell you that it's a sci-fi idea. It's not going to happen, and we should be really realistic about it. What machines do is to combine symbols according to rules the human gives to them at some point, whether one step before the outcome or 1,000 steps before the outcome. They only execute rules that we designed for them. And then as long as machines do that, they will never become conscious, sentient, or aware of themselves and become aware of the world around them. So we're far away from that. But I should also say that the fact that we're not going to develop machines who are sensitive, as I say, this does not mean that we don't face risks as we are in the situation where we are, because we use machines that are behaving as if they were intelligent, whose behavior we cannot really predict all the time, and whose behavior we cannot really explain. And we use these machines to make important decisions which impact our life, whether we can get a mortgage, whether we can get a job, how much we're going to pay for the next flight ticket. They are in the background of our everyday life. And even if they are, and they will not, in my opinion, ever become self-aware, these are machines that contribute to make important decisions for individuals and societies at large.
Mario, do you concur? It is stuff of sci-fi?
Yes, I concur with both things. So If they become sentient or not, I think again is something that it might never happen, or if it happens, we're still very far away from it, because we're still far away of being able to determine it and prove it anyway, even if it happened. So yeah, that's very very far away if it ever happens. But the thing is that exactly. I agree again exactly with the second point, is that the thing is, people think they have to become sentient to become dangerous, and they don't need to be sentient to be running running our lives, etc. And exactly those examples, if we have machines that learn and process so much data and make decisions, they can even make decisions without our knowing, and a lot of people don't even realize they're being already controlled in some ways by a machine. So they're probably not going around shooting people like Terminator. But if they are allowed to take decisions on the whole health system, for instance, the machine can determine who lives and who dies, or who is worth treating or who is not, and it can do that, and precisely because it's not sentient and it's not aware of their existence or any other existence. They just make completely rational and ruthless decisions that can be right or wrong, but they can do them. So it's two different questions, and that's probably also simple to separate. If they become sentient or not is one thing. If they can be dangerous, or they have to be treated with care, or whatever principles we need to use, it's irrelevant if they're going to become sentient or not.
There's so much of what you both said that I want to talk about. So, Saria, let's take the idea that not the idea, you're both saying as experts that it's a stuff of sci-fi, the idea of sentient AI. So is this engineer, has he just been duped? Has he not understood it? And there's been a few that have backed them up, of course, hasn't there, as well as others saying what you're saying, which, by the way, in the world of the digital age doesn't really mean anything. But Saria, is he off his rocker? Is he duped? Is he? Why is he so sure then?
No, I think that, well, I don't know the person, so I'm not going to give any personal assessment, but I think it's very easy to be tempted to see something, such a breakthrough, especially if you work constantly on AI every day. And that is one of the things, that this whole area of AI and this understanding when AI becomes as intelligent as human is shaped by the famous Turing test, which was this idea that Turing, the British computer scientist, great genius, devised that if you have interrogate a machine, and the machine gives you answers that you won't be able to tell whether they come from a human or a machine, at that point the machine has become able to imitate the human behavior to the point that we cannot distinguish them. And this is a test that, it's not something official, but people who work in the area, they like to play with it. The point with the Turing test is that it's also a test of human intelligence, even before being a test of artificial intelligence, because it depends on the questions you ask to the machine to be able to distinguish one from, a machine from a human. If you ask big questions like, do you believe in God? Or what's the sense of living? Or the kind of questions that the engineer reported online, but it's very easy to be tricked, because any answer really, even something which was less refined than what the machine gave back, they might trick you in thinking, this machine, so this other agent is able to think properly, because even the most obscure answer would be an adequate answer perhaps to that kind of question. So I think he got tricked by his own questioning and by the very way in which he approached the machine.
So in many ways, some people would bill both of you as killjoys this morning. I wouldn't. I would absolutely bill you as the bringer of scientific fact. But let's see what Julian in Teddington has to say about it. Nanu, Julian, welcome to the programme.
Oh, lovely to be here, Colin.
What have you got to say?
A great fill-in, John, for the queue.
Thank you very much.
Just to say that, well, I'm not afraid of computers getting more intelligent in the emotional sense, is because I don't believe a computer will ever be able to write a piece of music like a musical like West Side Story, or an album like the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds, which I know you featured on your late night show recently.
Yeah.
And the Beatles' Revolver and Claire de Lune by Debussy. And I just wondered, that takes a whole different emotional complexity to come to write from such heart feelings. I'm not afraid.
I'm wondering,
I'm not afraid.
think we might be about to ruin your day here. Oh, that's an interesting one, Saria, because where do we start with music technology? Do I start with auto-tune? Do I start with keeping time? Do I start with the fact that these days, you're not going to believe this, you might already know this, Saria, but you can maybe talk more of the AI music, Saria, but I know for a fact from one particular songwriter. Now, I'm not talking about my mate, I'm not talking about Jonty, who writes tracks and performs in the street corner. A friend of mine who's written hits for huge artists like Dua Lipa and Kylie Minogue was telling me that she went to a writing session in LA with a well-known writer, and she was there and she's got her guitar and she's just going through the notes, Saria, and they said, well, if we put it through this computer system, it will optimize it for you in terms of the key you should be in for each emotion. Saria, I'm not sure music's safe.
So I think that is a bigger question, whether, machines can create art. And I think we have in Oxford here a robot called Ida, which also is like a painting and creates some forms of art. I think that I side with what our listener was saying, that yes, the machine can create an artifact, whether it's a piece of music or, a painting or a sculpture, which is aesthetically pleasing. But that's not art, because art stays within the message that the artifact will convey. And that message can only be an emotion, a feeling, an intuition that a human has had.
Is it not the feeling of the people who buy it? Is art not in the eye of the beholder, not the artist? So it doesn't matter if it's done by a computer, sorry. As long as I get the human emotion when I look at it, it doesn't matter whether R2-D2's drawn it or not.
Good point. But then if your point stands, then we should say that all the art that we produced so far is not art by artists, but is art by the acquirer or the observer.
Yeah.
Fine.
Can it be a one-way street? I don't think it can. I think it has to go both ways.
No, but I think the point is that whichever way you want to look at it, whether it's the art comes from the human or, let's say, the artist or the observer, the point of the object we are observing being a piece of art stays with the fact that the human can attribute a meaning to it, whether when he creates it or when he or she observes it. And that's the key part. The meaning comes from the human element, doesn't come from the machine.
And it falls into the same category as the answer that you gave so beautifully before, that both of you talked about the idea of imitating, creating a program that enhances that human form. So, for example, many computer programs are written for dance music. Many of the wonderful, beautiful, classical scores that you hear on big films and big television series, well, they're actually written with a computer system using fake computerized samples, and then often, if they have the budget, recorded separately, and you hear the sound change. So it kind of falls into the same category again as the advancement of technology and AI in order to recreate most better that human emotion without actually being able to do it for itself. This, which we're now calling a sci-fi idea of sentient. After 11 o'clock, I will hear no talk of it as a legitimate thing. It's just, I'm closing down the very idea of it. Julian, you're safe, right? When you sit tonight and you put on Blonde, or you put on Murder Ballads, or whatever you're going to put on, you're safe. You're safe. Humankind is safe.
Right. Well, you just take God only knows, and that's not going to ever be written by a computer, is it?
Well,
it's going to be
if it was, the live show would be ruddy awful, wouldn't it? Started a computer. Julian, thank you. Give my love to Teddington, where it's 23 degrees today, so I hope you're enjoying a bit of the sun.
Oh, it's beautiful. Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. Not as good for somebody who doesn't have blinds. Was woken up at 5 o'clock this morning. Nike's up next.
Hello. Why don't you have blackout curtains?
I just moved house.
Oh, right, okay. They should be the first things you put in.
I feel, but I feel more human tying into our conversation is that I'm waking up with the sun. I have done for the last month. Yeah,
it's wonderful.
Yeah.
I do that deliberately. I sometimes go and sleep in another room which doesn't have blackout curtains, just so I can wake up with the sun. Yeah, right. Makes me really happy.
I get it. It's a really beautiful feeling, that morning glow of the sun rising. But at the same time, going to bed at 4 o'clock doesn't help. So my problem is the other side of the slab. I'm not going to bed early enough because I don't come off air until 1. So it's a bit of an issue. Anyway, you're definitely not going to be talking about that on your show today.
You never know. We're talking about hay fever. How's yours? Did you get it? Mine's rotten today.
Yeah, I took my tablet at 5 o'clock this morning, so as early as I could before the day started.
I took mine at 6 and I snorted. some stuff as well. You know, hay fever juice you snort up your nose.
Yeah.
Done nothing. I'm miserable with it.
Have
Really
you
miserable with
switched
it.
to the other type? Because there's two different types of hay fever tablet, and if you've been taking the same one for the last couple of years, you can build up a form of immunity. So not to get involved too much in brand names, but like Claritin is different than something.
There's loratadine in the other one, isn't there?
Yeah.
The main ingredient. Yeah, I could try it. It doesn't want to make you a bit drowsy. Do you know what? We don't know the answers to these questions, but I'm going to be talking to Dr. Ellie Cannon, who does know the answer to these questions. So I shall bring those up.
I really don't think you need that guest anymore after what I've just said.
What we've just done. Well, what we've just said.
I believe I've completely killed your feature.
No, you haven't.
That's all the advice anyone needs.
All you've shown is what you don't know.
Yeah. I tell you what is true, though, Nika, is people wait until they sniff. So you go out, you get the hay fever. I do this all the time. Oh, I've got to take my hay fever tablet.
No, you've got to take it early.
Too late. You've got to take it at the first sign of light. Simple as that. Right, that's good. Looking forward to that.
Of course, it's 5 years since Grenfell.
Yeah.
We're going to be updating. We're going to be talking to various people who worked at the scene, who had family, loved ones at the scene, seeing what today means. The memorial service at Westminster Abbey, of course, begins at 11 o'clock. There's going to be a 72-second silence each second, marking each person who perished in that. So we'll be looking at that. Ellie's going to keep us updated with the cricket, of course, at Trent Bridge. So we've got that, and I've got a brilliant girl, 15 years old, Imi Swain, who is autistic. She was only diagnosed a couple of years ago, but up until then she was kind of, I don't want to say neglected, but she wasn't served well at school, shall we say, and she was bullied and she had real issues. And then she was diagnosed, and she's made this film now, which is going to be shown in 24,000 schools in the UK, with tips for teachers and staff on spotting the signs of autism. Because she used to do things like she couldn't cope with noise, so she would want to kind of just be under a table, or if she was thinking, she'd look away so she could process thoughts, and the teacher would think she just wasn't paying attention. So it's not to put any blame on teachers or anything like that. It's just to show the other side of what someone with autism may be going through. So I get to talk to her and her father as well today, so I'm really looking forward to that.
It's a different generation, and you're absolutely right. It's not where you're going, why did teachers not see this in 1984? Because I don't know whether you do. You're younger than me, I think, but
I don't think
well, maybe we're roughly the same generation. That like it just wasn't. I didn't hear that word. That word didn't exist in my childhood.
Not at all. We just said people were a bit weird.
Yeah.
We didn't understand it. So it's great that there's understanding about it now. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
So
we've got to be honest about that era. Like, we really do. It's like it was, you were a distraction, you were a clown, you were not interested, and often with a couple of friends that I have that are autistic, I got to know them through friends, and it's their kids, is like, actually, like, such a sharp perception of intelligence. Like, they need to be stimulated. So if it's boring them, they don't want to pay. It's about it boring them rather than not. They don't hold their attention for the most positive of reasons. So I'm glad you're having that. I'm really looking forward to listening.
That will be around, what time is that? About 11:30. So it'll be a good chat. How's your tea?
My tea's lovely. Thank you so much for that. You did that because you felt guilty about scaring the living daylights out of me yesterday.
No, I'm just a good person. Occasionally.
Well, the tea is not.
Also, I think if you're going to make a cup of tea and you've got a fellow broadcaster sitting next door not able to get out and make a cup of tea, it's a bit rude not to offer.
Depends who it is, if we're being honest. Do you know what I mean? I'm not making Livesey tea. If it was on after Livesey, I wouldn't make him tea. If it was on after you, I would. So it just depends, really, on who it is, Naga. Right, I'll see you at 11 o'clock. Right, see you in a little bit. And I think with that, we are saying goodbye to Maria Rosaria Tadeo and also to Dr. Mario Gongora, who may stay about for a little bit longer, but I think Maria Rosaria Tadeo had to go. I really thank her. Did you notice that there's a thing in radio when you can hear a smile, and you could hear Maria Rosaria smile when she thought my question was a bit daft, of which there were 2 or 3. But we're getting loads from you in now in 08085 909 693 as we talk about AI and sentient AI, which our professor and doctor pretty much blown out of the water. But I think it's still an interesting conversation to have. So we'll continue when we come back after the news and sports. So here's Nick.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.